Spread the word of man. Spread the word of Islam. Oh, fortunate one, paradise must be won. Paradise must be won each day and each night, through darkness and through light. Cry it out to the world. Spread the word. Spread the word of Islam.
Hijab. The Muslim identity, as it is required of the females, it is also required of the males. Allah said, tell the men to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. Then tell the women to lower their gaze and protect their private parts. So the command comes to both. Hijab is a two-way street. Two sides of the coin. One for men, one for women.
Brother, could you please state your name and occupation and briefly state your question?
Good evening. என் பேர் ஷங்கர். நான் வந்து ஒரு கிறிஸ்டியன். எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா வந்து அவங்க வந்து இந்து தான். எங்கள் அப்பா வந்து பிறவிலேயே நொண்டி. அவர் வந்து எப்படின்னா, நாங்கள் இங்கே மெட்ராஸுக்கு தான் வந்து எங்கள் அம்மா என்ன பண்ணாங்க, சர்ச்சுக்கு போயிட்டு அவங்க ஜெபம் பண்ணி தர எண்ணெயை எங்கள் அப்பாவுக்கு தினமும் தடவி எங்கள் அப்பா கால் சரியாயிடுச்சு. இப்போ எல்லாரையும் போல் ஆஸ் யூஷுவலாக நடக்கிறாரு. இப்போ எனக்கு 3 வயசு இருக்கும் எங்கள் அப்பா நடக்கும்போது. நான் வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா அப்பத்துலேருந்தே எங்கள் அப்பாவுக்கு ஒரு அற்புதம் நடந்திருக்கு, இவர் தான் கடவுள் அப்படின்னு நான் நினச்சி அன்னையிலேருந்தே அந்த கடவுள் தான் நான் ப்ரே பண்ணிட்டு வரேன். இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அல்லாஹ் சொல்கிறாங்க, அவர் 1,45,000 தூதரை அமைச்சிருக்காரு. அதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இவங்க தான், ஒருத்தர் இயேசு, ஒருத்தர் ஐப்பன், ஒருத்தர் முருகன், அப்படி ஒவ்வொருத்தராக சொல்கிறாங்க. சரிண்ணா, அவங்க தான் வந்து அவங்க அற்புதத்தை நடத்தி மக்களெல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அவங்கள தான் கடவுளாக நினச்சிட்டு இருக்காங்க.
Shukriya. Brother, could you translate that piece by piece? Because I'm afraid that you'll miss some of it.
Assalamu alaikum. His name is Shankar, Christian. His father is by birth handicapped. After healing the Christianity by the healing, his father was recovered. So he is following the Christianity. His question is, Allah has sent more than 1,40,000 of messenger. The non-Muslim brothers and Christian and Jews are thinking that they are the God. So he is asking the question, he would like to know who is the creator, how can he feel the Allah?
Who is the creator and how can he fear God? Is that the question? Who is the creator?
He want to know.
The question is new deceit in Christian evangelism. Nowadays, it's a recent phenomenon in this part of the world. What's happening is they claim to be curing cancer.
Faith healing.
So they use that to convert Muslims in particular, and he is a victim on that. So he's asking, who is the real creator?
He was a Muslim?
No, he was a Hindu before he became a Christian because of this deceit in Christian evangelism, which is a recent phenomenon happening in this part of the world. I hope you...
Okay. The question concerns knowing the truth. You know, as it is said, if one knows the truth, it will set you free. How does one know the truth? We don't judge the truth according to experience, what we experience personally. The truth is what clear and logical to our minds. Obviously, what has been conveyed by the messengers of God. Because if we depend on emotion and personal experience, then I can take you to another part of the world where people are healed in the name of the moon or the sun, and they get healed. So then what? Then you'll now start worshiping the moon and the sun? No. What we have to know, when you're going to judge a religion, you judge it according to its basic teachings. One has to know who is God and who is a creation of God. One has to be clear that one worships only God. Because if we worship God's creation, then we have missed the boat. Human beings were created by God and were commanded by God to worship Him alone. To worship others beside Him, instead of Him, as Him, is idolatry in one form or another. And it is only God, ultimately, who will cure, cause somebody to be cured, answer people's prayers, bring benefits or blessings in lives. This is ultimately from God. So He is the one, because He's the one in control of everything who has created this universe. Common sense tells us He is the one that we should be worshiping alone. So to worship someone who claims, or people claim, is God, but is a human being like yourself, who was born and who died and will die like yourself, this is missing the boat. Your common sense tells you you are not God. You're not God because you're a human being. You were born. God is not born. So you judge the teachings, right and wrong, according to the basic principles of the teachings. If those teachings just make your head confused, when you think about it, you try to understand, it's just confusion. Nobody can give you clarity. They only add to your confusion. That's telling you this is not the religion of God. Because God does not want confusion for His creatures. He wants clarity and that they worship Him. That's what He has prescribed for them. So the true religion is the one which is going to get you direct to God.
Jazakumullah khair for the question. We'll now go to the sister section. Sisters, do you have a question for us? Please state your name.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Sophie. I'm doing my master's in fine arts. My question is, brother, nowadays when a member of the opposite sex wants to come and congratulate you on something, they offer you their hand. Yeah, especially when you're on stage and they're offering you an award or a certificate. My general reaction is probably to do this and bow. Now, in Islam, you're not allowed to bow to another human being. So what other way do I have to reciprocate? Can I have one more question?
Yeah, we'll allow 2 questions from the women, but 1 per person. There are many people with short questions. Let me just answer your question first, right? Again, this is something in our times, because of the fact that Western tradition has it, men and women shake hands, and this has become a part and parcel of Eastern tradition now. One who is conscious as a Muslim knows that it's not permissible to shake, for a man to shake the hand of a woman who is not one of his immediate relatives who he can't marry. He finds himself in these predicaments if he is in a workplace or dealing with other companies or whatever. And similarly, women working in companies will find themselves in this kind of situation. Well, what you have to do is you develop what they call body language. You develop body language. Body language means there's ways to give signals with your body that I don't shake hands with men. For example, you have your bag or whatever. When you come in with your bag. You're holding your bag behind your back, both your hands. You know, you can still be pleasant, whatever, but you don't carry the bag here so that your hand is free and, you know, so you keep your, or whatever circumstance you find, and you just try to make your hands not free. This is a way of giving signals by what we call body language that you don't shake hands. So it's something you have to try to do, or you may just have to say to them, you know, I don't mean to offend you, you know, it's not my intent, but according to my faith, you know, I'm not allowed to shake hands of the opposite sex. And a lot of times people respect you. That if you've given some explanation, they understand that it's something to do with your religion, okay, they respect that's your religion, okay, no problem. But what's happened is that we've become shy. Many of us, we would rather go ahead and feel bad about it, than to be embarrassed to have to tell people that we don't shake hands. But we have to ask ourselves, we're being shy to human beings, but we're not shy to Allah. And that's an issue of faith. We should be more shy to do what is displeasing to God than to do what is displeasing to human beings. That's reality.
A friendly message by Dr. Zakir, the fastest growing religion in the world.
A survey was published in the Reader's Digest Almanac Yearbook 1993, which was also reprinted in the Plain Truth magazine, February 1984. This survey gave the statistics of the increase in the percentage of the major world religions in a span of 50 years, from 1934 to 1984. The religion which increased the maximum at #1 position was Islam, which increased by 235%. Christianity only 47%. Which war took place between 1934 and 1984, which forced millions of people to accept Islam? Which sword was used? According to the latest statistics, today, the fastest growing religion in America is Islam. The fastest growing religion in Europe is Islam. The fastest growing religion in the world is Islam. Which sword is forcing tens of thousands of Americans to accept Islam? Tens of thousands of Europeans to accept Islam? Millions of people in the world to accept Islam. Which sword? It is the sword of Islam, the sword of peace, the sword of truth and wisdom, which gives the solution to the problems of humanity.
Peace TV, the solution for humanity.
A man, a mission, a world-renowned orator on Islam and comparative religion. He dedicated more than 5 decades of his life for dawah. Ahmad Deedat.
We Muslims believe that Jesus was the Christ.
This book is an eternal book of guidance for you and for me, for the whole of mankind. It's a solution to the problems of mankind. The miracle is when you expect a man to be dead and he's alive. That's a miracle.
Man with a Mission, next on Peace TV.
We'll take the question from the next sister.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I'm Aisha. I'm a housewife. Brother, I just want to know, if a lady is in her complete hijab, is it permissible for her in Islam to go to a co-educational institution to get her education? or to work in a place where there are men around. Because unlike Islamic countries, we don't have professional institutions here where only ladies attend, or there are very few places where only women work.
I would say that fundamentally, co-educational institutions for both men and women are not permissible Islamically. Fundamentally. So it's not just a question about you as a woman, but about all the men who are going there too, who are Muslims. However, where we find ourselves in a situation beyond our control, now because that's what we're looking at, we have a basic principle, we know this is not correct, but we are now obliged because you have no other options. Then, for one, if you're in that institution, you need to make sure that what you're studying is something which the community really needs. That you're going to get some knowledge which is going to help protect other women from un-Islamic circumstances. For example, you go and you study dentistry. Because Islamically, it is not acceptable that a male dentist treat a female patient, according to Islamic law. You've been into the dental office, the woman is lying out on the table, on the chair, the man's face is in her mouth. This is not something acceptable Islamically. So, but of course you have no choice. Right now there are no female dentists, I'm just giving an example. If there are none, so the female who has her teeth, she has to get treated, she has to put herself in that situation, which is a haram situation. So if the sister is going to university, co-education institution, to get knowledge that will make her a dentist so she can have a dental practice for women and protect other women from falling into that haram, then we say, sister, inshallah, Allah forgive you for whatever error that comes with doing it, but inshallah, you have a great reward for doing it with that good intention and trying to protect the Muslim community. Similarly with brothers, going into such institutions, it becomes very important that we're gaining knowledge which is truly beneficial and not going to school for the experience. You have people who are going to university just for the university experience. They'll go there and they'll waste time switching from course to course, from major to major, just enjoying university. This is nonsense. Islamically, this is something deplorable. So a Muslim really should be clearly focused in his or her educational pursuits, especially in such un-Islamic circumstances. Now, in case of work, it's the same thing. If she is going to do a job which is a necessary job for the community, then that's one thing. But if she's doing a job which is not really necessary, she's doing it because she just wants to work, because we have to be careful. There is a general globalized opinion that women should work. They're half of the labor force, they should be out in the workforce, like the men. But we should know that that is a result of a historical phenomena which took place in the West. World War I, World War II. That is what brought women out into the workplace. Prior to that, most women were in their homes. It wasn't that the West sat down and said, oh, we have half of our labor force sitting at home, we need to get them out to increase our production. No, it didn't happen like that. World War I happened and World War II happened. So millions of men had to go out and fight. So for the country to survive, women had to come in, fill their places in the factories, etc., to keep the country going. It was a necessity. So similarly, we as Muslims believe that the primary place of the woman is in the home. She is completely fulfilled in the home, raising that next generation. She should have knowledge. Not to say that she doesn't go out and get knowledge, etc. Because if she has got knowledge, then the children will be raised with knowledge. They'll be knowledgeable. So it is important. But she doesn't go out into the workforce just because she wants to work. No. If she has something to contribute, something really necessary in the society to contribute, a teacher. We should have female teachers for schools. We should have Muslim schools in which males are taught, females are taught separately. They're going to need female teachers. We shouldn't be having male teachers go and teach the females, or female teachers teaching the males. It shouldn't be. That is according to the basic principles of the religion. Where we have the ability to do it right, then we should do it right. So I just say briefly that intention. What are we going there to university for? What are we going out to work for? Is it something which is really needed, or is it just something we like to do?
Thank you for that, inshallah. Brother, could you please state your name and your occupation and briefly state your question?
Assalamu alaikum. I am Sheikh Ayazuddin. I'm working as a technical support executive in BPO. I would like to know whether marriage is mandatory, or if the necessity doesn't demand.
Could you please state the second half of the question? Marriage is mandatory
or not? Not. If I don't want to get married throughout my life, can I stay?
Can you stay single throughout your life if you don't want to become married? Okay.
Okay. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, "An-nikah nisfuddin." Marriage is half of the religion. So this is a strong recommendation. He said, "Tazawwaju," go and get married. He said, "Ya ma'ashara al-shabab, man istata'a minkum al-ba'a falyatazawwaj." O young people, those of you who are able to get married, go and get married. So he strongly recommended it. However, if one didn't get married, one is not in sin. To choose not to get married, meaning that one feels somehow that he can get closer to Allah by not marrying, then this is deviation. When some of his companions had made that statement saying that they were going to give up marriage in order to increase their worship and their position with God, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told them that he married, and that was his sunnah, and whoever dislikes his sunnah is not a true follower of his. So for one to choose not to get married for religious reasons, then this is a deviation. Otherwise, marriage is highly recommended from the Islamic perspective, especially when one has the means. If one doesn't have the means, then have the intention until Allah provides the means for you.
Thank you for the question, inshallah. We'll go back to the sister section now. Sisters, is there a question, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Bint Abdul Hamid. I'm an engineering student. In this part of the world, joint families still exist. The men in the family can afford to stay in separate houses though. The women in the houses do not observe proper hijab. What is your view and advice on this issue?
I already spoke about that directly in my lecture. I said it is not permissible. Islamically, it is wrong. You have the means to live separately, you should live separately. It doesn't mean that you may not have a big home where you can have it divided up, where people's hijab can be maintained. You know, it can be. It doesn't mean you have to have a separate building. But every woman, just like the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they had their own separate apartment. That is the correct way.
Shukran. Jazakallah khair. Brother, inshallah, we'll take a question from you.
Another question from the women.
Another question from the women. Sister, question from you.
Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to know if salwar kameez as an Indian dress, which is, if you must have seen, is it permissible? Which has a floral print, and if it is completely loose, and which has a head covered.
First point to note is that when we're greeting, we say Assalamu alaikum or Salam alaikum. Not Zlam alaikum. No, Zlam is like oppression on you. You've changed the meaning. So try to pronounce it correctly. Assalamu alaikum or Salam alaikum. Clearly, not Zalam. Zalam is different from Salam. Salam means peace. Zalam means oppression. Okay? Anyway, question with regard to the shalwar khamis. As a dress which a woman wears underneath her outer garment, it is fine. It's like any other dress. It's not considered hijab for a situation outside of her home where there are people outside of her immediate family. She should still wear an outer garment, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that women should wear outer garments, cast it over themselves when they leave their homes. So, shalwar khamis is not considered an outer garment, it's a dress. Even if you had it all in one color, it's still a dress. I mean, unless you made the top so big and wide and long that it fulfills the basic requirement of the hijab, then we say, okay, fine. But the standard shalwar khamis, which tends to be colorful and the tops tend to be tight-fitting or tighter fitting, then it's not, these are not acceptable. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Spread the word, oh man. Spread the word of Islam. Oh, fortunate one. Paradise must be won. Paradise must be won. Each day and each night. Through darkness and through light. Cry it out to the world. Spread the word.
Oh, Shaitan, I'm gonna throw you down, throw you down.